Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another wonderful Health Chats Among Friends conversation. So, tonight I have the pleasure and honor of meeting with my friend Cheryl Gray with ARCpoint Labs. So, Cheryl, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a widow, but I was a veteran actually in the US military. I did x-ray, so medical background over 35 years. And after my husband passed away, I wanted to get back into the healthcare part where I could actually serve patients. And so that's what drove my desire to be a business owner, but to provide healthcare directly to the public because um, because of our accident. He actually was paralyzed, and so I was able to take care of him for a couple of years as a paraplegic. So it just reignited for me what I originally wanted to do was in healthcare.
That's wonderful. Isn't it wonderful to be following your dream and your passion?
Yes, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
So, tell us a little bit about ArcPoint Labs. What type of testing do you do? I mean, what are
Well,
your top testings?
right now it's COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So we started actually, we were one of the first in the Metroplex to be able to do the antibody testing. Um, and that went live for us in March. But then as we were able to learn more about the virus and actually in the passing of it, we were able to actually start doing active virus testing. So we have it's really a parking lot testing. So the patients will actually just drive to the parking lot. They'll call to let us know that they've arrived, and then we take some information over the phone. Thank goodness for electronics now. We can actually text, and that is under a secure feed.
Okay.
Um, but then we can go out, we do the collection in their car. They don't even have to get out of the car. And we're not exposing anybody because they're just driving up and we're going out to them.
Right. That's awesome. I love that. I kind of remember that when I was a baby nurse and we did drive through and fight the flu. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, fun, fun. So we were talking the other day, and you have this amazing new um, service that you're doing. So tell us a little bit about that.
That's called serum tears. And actually, for people that have really dry eyes, and there's really just no way for them to get relief from that, they can go and see their optometrist or ophthalmologist actually and get a prescription. That prescription will give us the amount that we need to mix. So they come to the lab, they have a blood draw here. Um, with the prescription, we spin their blood, we take the serum off the top of that and mix it with saline so that they have, and it's really just like the tiers that we would normally make that they can actually put back in. I've tried it. I don't ever sell a product or a service that I don't try myself, and it's absolutely fantastic. So I had LASIK surgery myself in 2000, and it left me with a super, super dry eyes.
Mm.
But this actually, it really does provide a great amount of relief. So I'm
Yeah,
very
because
excited about it.
it's your own, so that's
Yes,
even better. You know.
absolutely.
Wow, wow, I love it. I love it. So, with the testing, I'm gonna go back to COVID a little bit. Um, with the testing, there's so many tests that some people were getting confused about.
Right.
So, can you describe the difference between some of the tests that people should and why they should
Okay.
get tested?
Absolutely. Well, so the very first staple or was the PCR, and that's called the polymerase chain reaction. So that's testing for the molecular structure of the virus. You and I are made of DNA, and so we can take a swab and we can see what our DNA looks like. Same thing with the virus. So we take a swab and we can see if the RNA of the virus is actually there. So you can be exposed to someone, um, but the virus hasn't started growing inside of your body. We can still find it. It's just looking for the RNA of the virus. So that's very helpful. So PCR is really what is the mandate for a lot of travel. So if anybody is trying to travel, going to um, lucky for them that they're getting to go on vacation. But that would be the test that they would need. We have that. We send it out to our lab in California. We take advantage of that West Coast time difference. So at the end of the day, we ship out our samples to that facility, and then our results are actually reported back within 48 hours. So,
So travel, when you say travel, are you talking inside the US or are you talking outside or both?
there are both, actually. There are some states, I believe that Minnesota and Massachusetts are one that I know of that are actually requiring a negative PCR before we come in for people of Texas to actually come into their state.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. And then we've had a couple of people that are actually going to Alaska, some that are going to Aruba. So all over, really, we're able to help them. But
Aruba.
we also have rapid tests. Yes, I know, right? Exactly. I'd love to go. We have rapid tests, and so we have two different types of rapid tests. One is the Abbott ID Now, and that's the test that they actually use at the White House. And they've put that at a couple of different airports. I know at Chicago O'Hare, they have that particular one. It's the same thing. It's actually just a test that within 15 minutes, it looks for the RNA structure of the virus. So again, you could actually have been just exposed to the virus yesterday, and we could determine whether you were positive or negative within 15 minutes. So that's a little bit better, but still not, it doesn't meet every requirement if you were trying to do travel. So you need to check with the destination to see if they accept that rapid test or if they require the true PCR. We have another test that's a rapid test, and it's an antigen test. And the antigen is testing for proteins that the virus actually creates inside your body after you've been infected. So there are requirements, actually. Your exposure to the virus must have been at least 5 days prior to our testing, or you have to be completely symptomatic. So having a fever, having chills, a headache, no smell, no taste, those things, so that we prevent getting a false negative.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so let's go back to, so that's three different tests.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
for our listeners' benefit, so let's go back to the first one that you talked about. That's
Yes, the
the
PCR.
PCR. So why would someone need to do that besides traveling? Is that just for people who are traveling?
Well, some of the healthcare institutions for healthcare workers, they want to see the PCR test as well. It again was the first. Well, I'm looking for a word that I'm not finding. Um,
One of the first trials, or
no, it wasn't one of the first. It was just it was the oh, I'm so sorry. Can you?
that's okay. No, 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 no. We keep going.
I'm sorry.
We keep
Um,
going.
it was the first one that actually they mandated that, that was an accurate test. So
Okay.
they, with the new rapid test, their false positives and false negatives have actually decreased because of their techniques that they've used and incorporated now. So we're seeing that the rapid tests are actually just as reliable as
Oh,
PCRs, but
okay.
PCR was the mandated, that was the staple,
Okay.
really, of the test.
And that's the one
Sorry.
that takes 48 hours.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
And so that was basically for the healthcare workers, maybe working in an assisted living or
exactly.
a facility. Okay.
Well, and you can understand. So if the healthcare workers are in with the nursing home people, they want to make sure that they don't have any trace of the virus at all. We don't want to
Hmm.
spread it at all.
Right,
For healthcare workers that are working in the hospital, again, no trace at all. So we want to make sure that the virus is completely shed from their body before they go back into the facility.
right, right. And that's the swab.
It is, yes. All
Okay,
three are actually a nasal swab.
okay,
It's just a difference in the amount of time. So the PCR takes 48 hours to get your results back
okay.
because that has to be done in a high complexity lab. and we are not a high complexity lab, so we don't have the analyzers to actually do that. We're a moderate complexity lab, and we're also accredited by COLA, so we're allowed to do the rapid test here.
Awesome. Okay, and then the second test you were talking about. Now, what specific audience would that be for?
Well, that's the Abbott ID now. And again, it's testing for that molecular structure. So if someone were exposed yesterday, they found out that yesterday or a couple of days prior to, we would just be looking for the RNA of the virus. It still the virus takes about 5 days to infect and to start showing symptoms in your body. So you can imagine if you waited for 5 days, how many people would you actually come in
Oh,
contact
my.
with before you were actually tested and know that you're positive? So we're
Right.
just trying to prevent the spread of the virus and learn about it a little bit faster than testing with the antigen.
Okay, and then the last one?
That antigen test, it actually, so if you remember everybody's seen the COVID, and you remember the little red spikes that are on that,
Mm-hmm.
those little red spikes are actually proteins that the virus pulls from your body and it builds as it's infected you. So that's what that test is actually looking for, is those little red spikes. So if someone is symptomatic, we can do the antigen test. And the reason that I would do that one over an Abbott ID now or a PCR is because that tells us that you're currently infected. So once your body actually sheds that virus, and again, just you and I are both made of DNA. So we can still test even after we pass, we could see our DNA. So even after the virus has shed in your body and you're no longer infected, you may still turn positive on a molecular test because you still see the RNA structure there. Does that make
Wow,
sense?
it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, wow, this has been great. So, um, it was going to be another question I was going to ask you about the testing. So, where is your facility located?
We're at 7100 Oakmont Boulevard. We're actually in Southwest Medical Plaza, Building 1. Um, the phone number is 817-928-4915. We do have an online portal, and that's on our Facebook. It's on our Google. So you can just click there. You can make an appointment if you want to, or we're happy to help you. Just call in and we can make an appointment there.
Awesome. And you do other testing too.
We do, yes. So historically, ARCpoint was a franchise for toxicology and then just as collectors. So patients would come in, we could collect their blood samples and send them off for analysis. But again, with my medical background and my desire truly to be in patient care, COVID has been wonderful for me to help me to learn to grow as a moderate complexity lab. And so what we're doing, they're starting construction now, and we're adding our own analyzers here in the facility. So in January, we will have the capability to actually have patients come to us, have their blood drawn. We can run those on our own analyzers, and you don't have to wait for your results for the 24, 48 hours. We'll be able to produce those in 15 minutes as well.
You know, I love that. I love
Yeah,
it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
yeah. I'm so
Yes,
excited.
I'm excited for you. I mean, I'm excited for the people that you and I both serve also. I love your heart.
Absolutely.
I love your facility. I love your building.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
I actually I have hormone therapy myself, and I had my own blood drawn, and I sent it out to a large name lab, but it took me almost 4 days to get my report back. So if we can do that and we can process those here and we get the results out to the patient, you can imagine doctors can do better healthcare, patients can
Mhm.
have a better idea about what's going on with them right away, and truly we all deserve that. So
Absolutely. Now, when I first met you, and I want to have you back because I want us to talk about this too, you were doing some type of testing where you talk about food allergies because the things that we're eating, we don't even know what that we're allergic to them, that they're calling inflammation and all
exactly.
kind of things. So I would love, love, love to have you back and we
Okay.
can hone in on maybe that and the serum tears.
Yes. And another one of my favorite tests is actually the pharmacogenetics testing. Um, so that one actually is a DNA test to find out how your body actually processes medications, because there are over 2 million adverse reactions to drugs that send people to the hospital. So if we can help you find out how your body breaks down medications, then we can actually prevent that interaction.
I'm definitely interested in having you back for that too.
Okay, great. Yes.
Okay, and again, let's repeat how someone can get in touch with you if you have more questions about COVID testing or the serum tiers or the genetic testing, all of that. It's just amazing. So, how can someone get in
Absolutely.
touch with you?
Well, we are on Facebook. It's ARCpoint Labs of Southwest Fort Worth. You can also Google ARCpoint Labs of Southwest Fort Worth. And I will mention that there are other franchises here in the Metroplex, but
Mhm.
we're all individually owned. And so we all have different plans. So what we've talked about is specific to ARCpoint Labs of Southwest Fort Worth. We do have an 855 number, and that is 855 4 ARCPNT. So 855 4 ARCpoint. And if you don't want to call that number, it's 817 928 4915.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Cheryl, thank you for your time. You have given
You're
a
welcome.
wealth of knowledge tonight, and I so appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the
Yes.
opportunity. You're doing a great job, Deidre.
Oh my goodness, thank you. It's a work of the
Yes.
heart.
Yes.
Yes. Well, everyone, my name is Deidre Kindred. I'm a nurse advocate, educator, and navigator. I love bringing you reputable, credible, trustworthy resource providers to educate you on what's out there in the healthcare world. Thank you for tuning in, and we will talk with you next week when we have another amazing healthcare resource. Thank you.
Thank you.